Hey there, Twisters. So for this video, I'm going to predict the leading scorer for each NHL team in the 2023-24 NHL season. And feel free to comment below with your predictions for this. What's your hottest take? Who do you expect a big bounce back from? I think that's an interesting topic as well. And let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos. Now, I actually covered this last year as well. So we're going to look at my predictions from last year. And unlike my season predictions, I didn't suck at these. So that makes me excited to produce this video. And certainly oh my gosh, guys, the offseason just needs to end already. Is it October yet? It's killing me. So while we wait for the season to start, let's have some fun with this prediction video here. I've ranked this from easiest to predict to most difficult, more or less. So we're going to start out Arizona Coyotes, Clayton Keller, over a point per game last season, 82 games, 37 goals, 49 assists for 49 assists for 86 points. So I don't see anybody coming close to him this year. Eventually, the Coyotes will have players like that with Dylan Guenther and with Logan Cooley, among others. So I think that one was pretty simple. Boston Bruins, nobody's coming close to David Pastrnak. He was a Hart Trophy finalist last year, 82 games, 61 goals, 52 assists, 113 points, right? Who would come close to him? Who's going to be flirting with 100 points? I don't really think there's anybody on the Bruins right now who's going to be doing that. And by the way, both of those players were my predictions for last year, and I was correct. Another guy I had correct was for the Vancouver Canucks. It was Elias Pettersson, although he had been struggling going into this past season. JT Miller was the one who flirted with 100 points, but I got Petey right. Last season, 80 games, 39 goals, 63 assists for 102 points, 20 better than Miller and anybody else on the team. I don't see why he wouldn't be the leading scorer for this upcoming season. This one's also pretty easy as well. New Jersey Devils. Jack Hughes, he was my prediction last year. He played nearly a full season at 78 games. 43 goals, 56 assists for 99 points. The next closest player was Nico Hischier at 80. I don't think there's any reason why Hughes, barring injury, should finish any lower than first in his team's scoring. Edmonton Oilers are next. Connor McDavid, he was my prediction last year. And as amazing as Draisaitl has been, and especially in the playoffs as well, McDavid is still the guy who's going to put up more points. 82 games, 64 goals, 89 assists for 153 points. Can he top 150 again next season? I'm not entirely sure about that, but I still think that he'll be the leading point scorer on that team. A lot of these are retreads, but anyway, Dallas Stars, Jason Robertson, I was correct. I said it would be him last year. And even though it was Roope Hintz leading all players in the playoffs in scoring, Robertson just absolutely lit it up this past year. 46 goals and 63 assists for 109 points. Wow. Amazing. You know, the Stars have some good top-end firepower, but Robertson, I don't see anybody passing him next year. All right, here's one I got wrong last year. For the Buffalo Sabres, I'm going to say Tage Thompson. He was their leading scorer last year. I thought maybe 2 seasons ago, I thought that was maybe a fluke. Turns out I was very wrong there. My prediction was Alex Tuch, who was over a point per game, so he had a fantastic year on that top line. But even so, Tage Thompson, he's kind of in a category of his own over there. 78 games, 47 goals, 47 assists, 94 points. Now my team, the San Jose Sharks. Assuming that he doesn't get traded, I will say Erik Karlsson, although I don't think it's going to be by as much of a margin as it was last year. He had 25 goals and 76 assists for 101 points. Nobody was near that, especially as Timo Meier had been traded. Karlsson was still a point-per-game player after Meier had been traded, but that did drop off a little bit. So if he does get traded, I'll say Tomas Hertl. And if the two are on the team for the whole year, I think that Hertl will come close, but I'll still say that Erik Karlsson, even at 33 years old, can still be around a point per game. Minnesota Wild. This one was closer than I expected to be last year, but I was correct with Kirill Kaprizov. Granted, he only played 67 games, still had 40 goals and 35 assists for 75 points. Matt Zuccarello was close at about a point per game. And don't forget, Matt Boldy had his breakout year last year with 31 goals. I don't know if he's going to get quite to Kirill's level just in his third season in the NHL, so I'll go with Kaprizov there. All right, Philadelphia Flyers. I got this wrong last year. I said Sean Couturier, but then it turned out he would miss the entire season. And Travis Konechny was a point-per-game player last year. 60 games, 31 goals, 30 assists for 61 points. And especially if he's healthy for a full season and doesn't get traded out, I don't expect anybody to come as close or come quite close to him to lead the team in scoring. As good as some of those players performed last year in sort of breakout roles. Florida Panthers, I was incorrect last year. I said it would be Sasha Barkov. Matthew Tkachuk, though, he was incredible. He was a Hart Trophy finalist last year. 79 games, 40 goals, 69 assists for 109 points. And, Barkov has come close to 100 points before, but just given how Tkachuk performed, not just in the regular season, but also in the playoffs, I got to think that, he's rolling. He's feeling the mojo right now. Blue Jackets, I got Johnny Gaudreau. I picked him last year, and he did have a drop-off in his productivity versus where he was with Calgary. Kind of understandably, given his teammates there. Last season, 80 games, 21 goals, 53 assists for 74 points. I don't know who his line mates are going to be. I don't know what the role of Patrick Laine is going to be. Even so, though, they're getting better at wing. Some of those younger players should be able to add on top of what they did last year. So I think that Gaudreau could at least be a point per game player this upcoming season, and I don't see anybody getting quite close to him, but that could change over the next couple of seasons. All right, Los Angeles Kings. I said Kevin Fiala last year, and if he was healthy for the whole year, I probably would have been right. It was Anze Kopitar, but Fiala was right behind him. 69 games, 23 goals, 49 assists for 72 points. And the Kings have all sorts of firepower at the forward position, but really I think that the potential is there in an 82-game year for Kevin Fiala to lead that team in scoring. Anze Kopitar is still performing at a high level, but is he going to top 74 points where he was last year? Getting a little bit older, there's a lot of young talent still on this team as well that could flourish. So anyway, I'll give that up to Fiala. I mean, it's crazy. He's just 27 years old in the prime of his career. So he's got, a couple of point per game seasons left. Golden Knights, I've got Jack Eichel. I was correct last year, even though he only played 67 games, 27 goals, 39 assists for 66 points. Looked great in the playoffs. Could he be around a point per game this upcoming season? I don't see why not. That's basically where he was last year. So who knows? Maybe he even has 90. All right, Montreal Canadiens. Last year I said Nick Suzuki. I was correct. And he led the team in scoring, even though Cole Caulfield, who did have 26 goals in 46 games, came out of the lineup with injury. So because Suzuki was still able to produce without Caulfield a little bit, 26 goals, 40 assists for 66 points, I think he'll have a better season this year, assuming that his line mate is healthy for the whole year, and I'll still see him at the top in scoring there. All right, Pittsburgh Penguins. I did something that time and time again has proven me wrong. Bet against Sidney Crosby, right? So this last year, he went off. He was better than he was over the past couple of seasons, at least offensively. 82 games, 33 goals, 60 assists for 93 points. I picked Jake Gensel because he was tied with Crosby 2 seasons ago. I thought he would take over, but he still had a good year. But yeah, Crosby just kicked it into a totally different gear. So I'm going to respect the man and pick him to lead the team in scoring. All right, Detroit Red Wings, Dylan Larkin. I picked him last year, and he certainly was the team leader in points. 32 goals, 47 assists, 79 points in 80 games. It's going to be fun seeing him potentially play with DeBrincat, and I'll make probably a separate video on the leading goal scorer for each team, and who knows, maybe I'll pick DeBrincat for that one. Now we get to the Winnipeg Jets. I picked Kyle Connor, and even though he experienced a drop in goals, he barely beat out Josh Morrissey for the team lead in points. I'll expect that number to go up a little bit this upcoming season, so I will pick Kyle Connor again. 31 goals and 49 assists for 80 points. But yeah, in terms of the other forwards around him, I don't think anybody is going to quite flirt with being a point per game besides Connor on that team. At least not yet. They do have some good forward prospects. All right, Tampa Bay Lightning, I'm going to stick with Nikita Kucherov, even though Braden Point, he's coming on very strongly offensively. He had a 95-point season, but Kucherov was fantastic. And yeah, he could experience maybe a small drop-off. Even so, though, still very much in the prime of his career. 82 games, 30 goals, 83 assists, 113 points. He was my Hart Trophy prediction before the season started last year. All right, now we get to the Carolina Hurricanes. I'll stick with Sebastian Aho. Actually, the leading scorer for them last year was Martin Necas, a very clutch player for them this past season. But even so, I still think that Aho is the main catalyst offensively. Svechnikov, you could certainly put in the conversation. 75 games, 36 goals, 31 assists, so 67 points. That's a bit of a drop-off versus where he's been before. I think that goes back up again this upcoming season. All right, now this is the fun one. For the Chicago Blackhawks, I've got Connor Bedard. I'm sure that some of you out there will say, hey, Taylor Hall could still put the puck in the net, and certainly I could see them being close in the race, but I'm going to give it up to Bedard. I don't know if he's going to be a point-per-game player, but could he lead a struggling Blackhawks team in his first year offensively? I think so. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Last year, I said Patrick Kane, and it probably would have been him if he played out the whole season there. But it was actually Max Domi who led the team in points. All right, Washington Capitals. I don't know. This could be maybe the last year where Alex Ovechkin leads the team in points. I'm not saying goals necessarily, but I will pick Ovechkin. They do have some aging talent on that team in addition. So if there's anybody who's going to be a higher scorer than him next year, I don't know. Strome had a big breakout year last year, or at least a breakthrough season. You still have John Carlson on the team. He was injured this past year, but I don't know. I'll pick Ovi in this case. Last year, 73 games, 42 goals, and 33 assists for 75 points. So still around a point per game at his age. That's damn impressive. All right, Anaheim Ducks. I'm going to say Trevor Zegras. Now, I was correct last year, but Troy Terry did have more points per game. But Zegras, I believe, will help the Ducks take a step forward this upcoming season. Sure, you also have Mason McTavish in the mix. I'm curious to see who gets to play with Alex Killorn. I'm very curious about that. I do like Killorn. He had a good season last year. But for Zegras this past season, 81 games, 23 goals, and 42 assists for 65 points. I don't see him necessarily getting above a point per game this next year. That could certainly be in his future. But yeah, he should be at least over 70, I would think. For the New York Rangers, I got it correct last year by predicting Artemi Panarin. However, Panarin, if you look at his numbers, he's kind of starting to plateau, whereas Mika Zibanejad is still just 30 years old and could very much surpass Panarin in scoring. So I'm going to pick Mika. He finished 1 point fewer than the Breadman this past year. 82 games, 39 goals, 52 assists for 91 points. And I was a little tempted to consider Fox here. I loved the season he had last year, but even so, even though he was excellent and a Norris Trophy finalist, he wasn't like an offensive monster on the stat sheet necessarily. He had 72 points. That's excellent, but it wasn't like he was flirting with surpassing his teammates. All right. Colorado Avalanche. I originally put Mikko Rantanen. I wanted to do it. I wanted to give him some kudos for kind of putting the team on his back when other players out there were injured. Nathan McKinnon hasn't been as healthy as Rantanen the past couple seasons, but Nate Dogg last year, 71 games, 42 goals, 69 assists for 111 points, and I picked him last year, so I'm going to pick him again this year. Yeah. All right, Maple Leafs. Here we go. All right. He was third on the team in scoring this past season, Austin Matthews, because Mitch Marner was incredible, 99-point season. I'm going to say Matthews bounces back, and yeah, he's playing for a contract, so that's huge too. So you could see a big season from him. Willie Nylander, I was kind of thinking of throwing him in here as well. He's also playing for a contract, but anyway, we'll stick with Matthews. He's going to bounce back. He's going to be over 50 goals next year. All right, so 74 games, 40 goals, 45 assists, 85 points this past season. These are starting to get a little bit more tricky now. So now we get to the Predators. I'll say Philip Forsberg. Now, last year I was correct. I said Roman Josi, who had 59 points in 67 games. Is he slowing down a little bit? Maybe so. 2 seasons ago, he totally went off. But anyway, I'll say Forsberg. Don't exclude Thomas Novak, but I like this idea of Forsberg potentially playing with Ryan O'Reilly, having a full season, being healthy, could be a 30-plus goal scorer. Very much in the prime of his career. Calgary Flames. Now, last year, I said it would be Jonathan Huberdeau. He was the subject of my thumbnail, and he only had 55 points in pretty much a full season. Tyler Toffoli was the most productive of the Calgary Flames last year. So a bunch of other players dropped off. Mangiapane dropped off, and so did Elias Lindholm. And another guy who's playing for a contract next year is Elias Lindholm. Assuming he doesn't get traded out, I'm going to predict him to lead the Flames in scoring. He's been a 40-goal scorer before. Last season, dipped down all the way to 22 goals. So can he be around 30 this next year? I hope so. 42 assists to go with those 22 goals for 64 points. I think he's going to get closer to like a 73, 74, something like that. New York Islanders, I don't know this one all too much. I mean, it's been Brock Nelson the past couple of years. Matthew Barzal, he was injured for part of last year, but even so, I think that Nelson still would have led the team in scoring. So you could pick him. I'm going to pick Bo Horvat, though. Good season last year from a goal-scoring standpoint, 38 goals and 32 assists for 70 points. Most of that coming with the Vancouver Canucks, but give him a full season with the Islanders, potentially on a top line. So I'll go with Scorvat on that one. All right, Ottawa Senators. Now, Tim Stützle last year was like my number one candidate for breakout centers, and he had a fantastic year. He improved by 32 points last year. But there's something really interesting here. Take a look at this. All right, this player went from 44 points in 71 games to 36 points in 56 games to 67 points in 79 games to 83 points in 82 games. I love that progression. And so with that being said, I'm actually going to pick Brady Tkachuk for this one. So I had Stützle last year. I'll pick Brady, so I got both Tkachuk brothers. And, you know, you could certainly throw in there Josh Norris or Drake Batherson to contend for the team lead in points. St. Louis Blues, I'm going to pick Robert Thomas. So last year I picked Jordan Kyrou, and I was correct. Although Pavel Buchnevich had a higher points per game average. He just wasn't healthy for the entire season. Now, Robert Thomas has also been around a point per game before, and so I think that it's his turn to take the team lead. So 73 games this past year, 18 goals and 47 assists. And so, yeah, the Blues are going to be more of a scoring by committee team, and that's why I have them toward the bottom. In addition to the last team here, that's the Seattle Kraken, a team that got a lot of production from its four lines. Their leading scorer last year was Jared McCann. I said it was going to be Matty Beniers. I had no idea who it would be, but McCann had a 40-goal season. However, and don't forget Vince Dunn as well, 64 points from the blue line. But I'll stick with Matty Beniers. This is a bit of a homer pick here. I really do like his game, although it's more of an all-around game, not just an offensive game. 80 games, not 80 goals. 24 goals, 33 assists for 57 points. So there is a bit of a gap here between him and his line mate in McCann, but I'm going to give it to Beniers. Why not? Anyway, guys, what do you think of my predictions? Who do you think has the best bounce back for any player in the NHL this upcoming season? Comment down below and let me know if you have any other suggestions for what I should cover here in the offseason. God, I hope it's October when I wake up tomorrow. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you want more content like this, and I'll see you around for more coverage of the NHL season up ahead. All right, thanks for tuning in, Twisters. I'm Nick. I'll catch you later. Ciao for now.